Welcome to Passing Time with Craig, the podcast. I'm your host, as always, Craig McFarlane, and I'm happy to pass time with you kind folks. And today, as I said, I'm the host. I host a lot of trivia, bingo nights. I'm always the host, but unfortunately, there's somebody who's tortured me and being the host themselves. Please welcome my guest, Survivor Calgary host, Tom.
Thank you so very much for having me. If we had a waiver, it would say that you accepted to be tortured. He volunteered, for the record. We didn't force him to be tortured.
I feel like I was... I don't remember volunteering. I think I was, you should do it. And I was like, yeah. And then I watched the series before I did it. And I was like, I did not think it was going to be like this.
No, it's misleading. I feel like we have to acknowledge for Survivor Calgary the wonderful editors we have that trick people into being like, oh, you just go out in the mountains and you play games and you drink and it's a great time. No. There's a lot going on.
It is. And it's jam-packed over 3 days we film it, and a lot happens, and it's freaking crazy.
It is a wild ride how it has evolved, and it's been getting crazier and crazier every single season, which is what is, because it started right in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it was just Cole, who is one of the executive producers, like myself. He reached out to me and was like, hey, do you want to do Survivor with our friends?
Yeah.
We could actually see each other. And I was like, hell yeah, I would do that. And he's like, yeah, would you host? I was like, I would absolutely host. And on the first season, it was basically just me running the show all by myself. I made all the challenges, and Cole's significant other at the time filmed everything. And then when Cole eventually got voted out, he also helped. But our production team was like my wife.
Yeah.
Cole's significant other. And Cole.
Yeah.
And me. And like, that was it. It was absurd, Craig.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And
I didn't realize it was that small for that first season.
Yeah. Well, and you came in in season 3.
Yeah.
So you saw the sheer scope of people who were struggling to put this production together. So it started out as that, and then it just took off. And now we're stuck in this whirlpool of everybody in Alberta kind of loves it.
Yeah.
And we can't escape.
Yeah.
And we're stuck making TV now.
I know. It's crazy. So we're going to talk about the current season that just started, Survivor Calgary All-Stars. But so we've done, before this, there's been 3 seasons.
Yes.
And how did the casting process change? Because originally it was your friends.
Yeah. Yeah, and in seasons 1 and 2, that was basically it.
Yeah.
It was our friends, either close-knit or slightly removed. But one thing we did notice, and this is something that you would have picked up on as well, there is a lot of drama in those 3 days.
Yes.
It wasn't exactly healthy for it just to be our close group of friends. So after season 1, we were like, we should kind of invite other people so that we can maintain these friendships, because it's destroying people's lives. And so we expanded the circle, and that's when we started coercing people to come and play for our entertainment, so we could have long-lasting friendships. We could torture other people.
Yeah. That makes your friendship stronger by torturing other people.
Well, we get to watch it together. It's fun. We laugh. We got them, So the casting developed because of that idea. It was like, this is harmful for such a small group of people, relatively, to just do it over and over and over again. So, and Cole and Keegan and several other people play Discord survivors.
Right.
Like online survivors with friends. They're massive fans of the show. Through that connection, we brought people into our live fan-made Survivor show.
Yeah.
And it kind of grew from there. And just from our expanding circle, more and more and more people gained interest, including yourself.
Yes.
Because all of you who listen to this podcast know that Trivia Daddy over here is just a phenomenal hallmark of Calgary entertainment.
Well, thank you.
He kept our friends, myself included from time to time, though I'm dog shit at trivia. I try not.
You're not an all-star, that's for sure.
No. If it was structured like Survivor, I would be the last person on the casting call. If it's related to the Roman Empire, shout out every dude. I would knock it out of the park, but no. So that's how we got Craig. We would see him at trivia every week, and some of us still do the power bottoms.
Yeah, shout out Power Bottoms.
Yeah, they're not phenomenal either. No, they're pretty terrible.
People are like, wait, I follow Craig on Instagram, and he always posts the winners. I don't think I've ever seen Power Bottoms. That's because they don't win.
Yeah, no.
And they don't even seem to, lately, they don't even seem to come in like last place, so they don't even get the last place prize.
No, they find themselves like... They're in the Calgary Flames position. They're just squarely in the middle. They're not remarkable enough for anyone to care, and they're not terrible enough to win any sympathy from players.
Yeah. I also love every time because I read out the rankings after every round, and whenever there's new people at Trivia Tuesday, they find the name Power Bottom so hilarious. And I'm like, oh, you're new. You've not come to trivia before.
Yeah.
If you think this is a brand new team name.
No, they're consistent down at HLB, and I love that. I get invited to come and join, and I'll just go, no, I don't want to.
No.
One, I don't like losing, and two, I have nothing to contribute.
So wait, is that why you agreed to host and not participate in Survivor?
I agreed to host because I love doing it. Mm-hmm. I play Dungeons and Dragons all the time. I'm a forever DM. I've always loved hosting things. Like,
it's so much fun.
It's so much fun.
If you're not a hoster and you don't enjoy it, you don't understand it. But if you like hosting, there's nothing like it.
No, it's its own drug, and I get to being able to watch things unfold live has this weird magical effect.
Yeah.
Even for you, I imagine when you're grading scores live at trivia or whatever event, like you're looking at bingo and you can see things falling together. Sometimes it's like, how did the world create these odds? Like, who's writing this script? And you get pleasure out of that. I get to run around the forest still.
Yep.
I still get to watch the drama unfold. I just get to torture people.
Yeah.
It's more fun for me that way. And I didn't want to play because I would take it too seriously and I would hurt people. Emotionally.
Yeah.
I would be a bitch. I would be a total bitch. I would not be fun.
Yeah.
So not for me. I would rather just host.
Yeah.
And it's been an absolute pleasure to do it. The crazy thing, audience, is that it is 3 days of nonstop filming. Mm-hmm. Craig can attest to this.
Yep.
We start the days at about 8 a.m. in the morning on a Friday morning, and we will film until about 8 p.m. at night, and then we'll eat, hang out by a fire, chill out, drink, get rowdy, and then we'll repeat for Saturday, and then we'll repeat on Sunday. It is a grueling experience for everybody. And, there are 18 challenges that I have to try and memorize, and I've been doing worse and worse because they've been getting more complicated and more complicated. And it's so funny because you'll never see this in the TV show, but after I explain things, there's almost 5 minutes of, hey, excuse me? Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah.
What are we have to build a live llama with parts from trees?
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's magical.
I'm not not the brightest person. This is why I host events, because then I don't know how I would do a trivia. I know a lot of trivia because I can Google the answers. But sometimes the challenges, I'm like, wait, what are we doing? But then sometimes I really get it, and then other people start asking questions, and it confuses me, and I'm like, wait, I don't know. I don't think I know what we're doing. And then we go through this little cycle, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, so I was originally correct what I was thinking. You're just complicating it for some reason.
Yes. Well, and that's just the crazy thing, right? Because so many people see things in different ways. And I've seen that in you and your seasons where there's some challenges where you're just like, oh yeah, easy. That makes perfect sense. And some person's like, please explain Sudoku. It's like, what do you mean? There's nothing to explain here. It's a very, you plug in the numbers, you complete the puzzle.
Yeah. That was okay. I want to talk about a couple challenges right now.
Yeah, of course.
The Sudoku one, which I fucking crushed.
You did.
My season's 3. I'm good at Sudoku. I do it all the time. I got it on my phone, and so I ran into the forest one time, and got like 2 numbers, came back, and then I just did it all.
Wildly impressive.
Yes. Thank you.
Wildly impressive.
Basically, I brought you on to just praise me.
Yeah, no. Look, I'm here for it. It was a magical thing to witness. There were also other challenges though, in your season that weren't so...
Okay.
Let's call it mavericky, you didn't crush it.
Okay, well, let's... First of all, I just noticed it's on my fridge. I still have the... I got from the tree mail, the little hint for the thing. Me fail English? That's impossible. You had better hope it's true, as these words will not reveal themselves. You must bring them into view. So it was a word search. Mm-hmm. But this is one where I remember, because it's in the episode, the idea was there was words in a word search that you had to find, and then overlapping letters formed a new word.
Yes.
And the words were like in the forest. You could run to them, and there was a list, and you could memorize as many as you could and come back.
Yeah.
And I remember this because I still laugh. You said go, and I started running, and everybody else just flipped over their paper and started like looking for words. And I was like, wait, shouldn't we go into the forest? I was like, am I not supposed to? Like, did I miss that part?
There was a moment of sullen shock and surprise on Craig's face that I will never forget, because I say go, and it's exactly like a describe. Everyone else, boom, flipped it over, studious. Craig runs 5 feet, turns around. What the fuck? We could go get the words.
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing? And I was like, someone's like, Dad, no, you can run into the woods. I was like, okay. So I went and got it. Yeah. And like, the thing is, I found all the words, I think, first.
It was crazy. It's almost as though he followed the instructions of the challenge and was immediately rewarded for his efforts.
And then immediately it was one of the most painful thing, and the fact that it is forever ingrained on the internet now.
It'll never leave.
The word was triumphant.
It was triumphant, or triumvirate.
And I knew the word, and you can see in the episode on my piece of paper, I wrote it like 40 different ways.
All of them were wrong. He wrote triumphant 40 different ways incorrectly every single time. And he would raise his hand like every 4th attempt, like, I've got it. And we would go over and we would look at the papers like, you spelled spaghetti. It's like, this is, you made up letters.
And the part I say to you can hear me speaking to like the producers and the cameraman. I was like, you all know what I'm trying to spell, right? And they're like, yes, we know what you're trying to spell, but you're not spelling it right.
Do you know what you're trying to spell? And it's the craziest thing, because like Craig said, it's immortalized on the internet.
Yeah.
You can see the back of his paper, and it is like a madman's scribblings. And then the person who won the challenge like tried spelling it 2 different times. I was like, yeah, no, I got it on my second try. Yeah. And we were like, yeah, the word was triumphant. And then Craig like, fuck, you gave me.
Yeah, I just the fact that I was the first and like just so ahead of it, and I just
you had like a 40-minute gap.
Yeah, it was a long time.
It was a long time.
And this is the thing that people won't realize watching these episodes, is that some of these challenges take a fucking long time.
Forever. And some of the ones that take the longest aren't the ones that we planned for.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the relay challenges, where let's call them skill shots, are involved, or like, okay, it'll take about this much time because we'll test some of them beforehand. And then it will take like 3 or 4 times as long. And the puzzle one that you were just talking about, the word search, we were like, okay, this will take about 30 minutes. It took about an hour.
Yeah.
It took about an hour. And Craig had genuinely like a 40-minute gap on people because he went to the forest.
I did what was told.
He got the words for free. And as soon as people saw, because you could look over and like cheat a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, people were doing it. People would see Craig like just whoom, 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 knocking the words down, and they were like, "Oh shit, man! Maybe I should go do that." And then they would like slowly get up and go get words themselves. It's crazy.
Yeah. So okay, and we've talked about how short a time period it is filming, but that's what adds to the intensity of it. Is that we finish a challenge And if it's merged and we're all going to tribal council, or you lost a challenge and you have to go to tribal council, you only get like 20 to 40 minutes to now discuss who the fuck you're voting out.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
It is so stressful.
I hate it.
It is crazy. I feel like we have pressure cooker Survivor.
Yeah.
You know, whereas the classic recipe calls for marination, you're there for a long time. No, we throw you in there. We turn the heat up to maximum. We turn our little ninja cooker all the way to the top. And as soon as it starts whistling, we know we've got a good product.
Yeah.
And it's worked for several seasons now, including the one that's about to come out, All Stars. But in your season in particular is when we saw it come to its best form so far. Season 3, for those of you who haven't watched the show of Survivor Calgary, is phenomenal. I truly believe that the cast is incredible, Craig included, and the way that they overcame or handled the social element of it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing television.
So I'm like an outgoing person, but I'm also always nervous when it's like a group of new people. So it was like intimidating to go into Survivor Calgary season 3, knowing you guys vaguely from just coming to my trivia night, but all the contestants I didn't know, and and a lot of the people didn't know a lot of other people. We had people, you mentioned the Discord groups, so we had people from Calgary and Edmonton a part of it.
Yeah.
It was a nice mix. We had 3 tribes. I was placed on, it was Brains, Bronze, and Belligerents.
Yeah.
I was placed on Belligerents.
What? You?
What?
Did we not acknowledge your other suits? You're benching what? Like 40? 45? Yeah, there were 3 tribes. The credos of Survivor in the past. Going forward, this might be changing because we're more and more falling into kind of a generic Survivor show rather than where it started. It was like, we're going to go out and drink in the forest to play Survivor. We're falling away from belligerence, but it was who can outwit, outlast, and outdrink their opponents. And now, on Craig's season 3, that's how we kind of organize the tribes.
Yeah.
The people who would outlast, outwit, and then outdrink. And you good old fish, you were put on the outdrinkers, who named themselves the Bellini tribe.
Yeah.
Which Bellinis, hello.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
And you can pretty much see me with a can of beer in my hand almost most scenes.
I would say, other than the challenges that involved running, you were drinking.
Yeah.
It was truly astonishing.
And what happened? What was the outcome? Spoiler alert. I fucking won the game.
Yeah. He did it. He actually, and this is why I'm like, I don't know if we should get rid of it, because this guy put the game on its head by just being a social drinker.
Yeah.
And it worked so well.
Like, yeah. I wanted to go in just having fun and was like, we'll see. I just didn't want to be the first person voted out. That was very important to me. Sorry, Justine.
Yeah, oof. That's a tough one.
And I love her so much. And she's back for Survivor All Stars, which is fantastic. We'll talk about that. But I went in just wanting to have fun and entertain people. And I thought I could help, like, keep under the radar by just being the fun social person people weren't thinking about. And I think it worked for me. In fact, like I threw things off that I wasn't brains or bronze. But by not being able to spell a word.
True, you did solidify yourself as a member of the belligerents tribe, not being able to spell.
The relay races where we had to throw things, and I have a line in the episode that's like, "Can we stop making the gay guy trying to throw things?"
Yeah. Later on, we did not try and stop the gay guy from throwing things. We encouraged more throwing.
But one of the first merge challenge, where we had to hold the buckets up above our head, and then we chose like who would get a cup of water. I didn't want to be the first one out, and I was doing pretty good. And actually, people weren't really putting a lot of water in my bucket.
And
but
you did phenomenal.
But you still had to hold it straight up. And Kayla was getting a lot of the water added into her, and I made it to second. I was the second person standing with Kayla, and I was like, well, I don't want to show that I can win, like the physical stuff. And so I dropped, and
dropped
because
the
I was like I just wanted to go far enough, and then all of a sudden it was like, crap, there's only 2 of us left. I don't want this to happen.
Well, and that's the crazy thing. Like, looking at Craig, you would never be like, this guy's holding, let's call it conservatively, 5 pounds, 10 pounds of water in a bucket over his head. But this is one of those challenges that doesn't come across on TV. These guys are down there for like an hour.
Yeah.
It is a grueling activity, and it's hot outside, specifically your season.
Oh, yeah.
Brutally hot. We filmed around the time of Stampede, which is early July, and it was crazy, like 25
Yeah, it was
days,
so freaking hot.
Days. I did not see Craig going deep in that challenge, but I think what separated you from the pack is you had locked out your shoulders somehow, and you were a statue. You had perfect technique, and you just stood there, and he was an immovable object.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Everyone else was like kind of struggling for this visual medium as I move around on my chair.
Podcasts are weird.
Podcasts are weird. They were striking all these different poses, engaging so many muscles. Some of them were just like really relying on strength rather than technique. And they were failing miserably, but Craig was like, it was one of the challenges where I was truly beginning to become astounded by how you were playing, because you did make it to the final 2, and then you looked over and saw another member of the belligerent tribe, and you're like, fuck it, I'm out. And you just dropped it, and it was crazy.
And I really thought that, I was really nervous about after that challenge, because I thought I just was like, well, I'm not going very far, because they saw how long I lasted. But also, one of the keys was the people voted out were choosing who got water added to their bucket, and nobody was choosing me. And I was like, people are going to realize that there's a reason why the people voted out of the game. The people who will be voting for the winner is not choosing me. Like, that seems sus, but people kind of forgot that.
No, it was crazy. And I think you kind of set the standard for a stunning social game, if that makes sense. Because leading up to that, many of the people who distinguished themselves on the show did so by being very good at challenges or being like overtly manipulative.
Yeah.
You know, like they were very good at what they did. They controlled it through tribes or through alliances, and they like just knew the numbers and they played to their strengths, or they were phenomenally good at challenges. And in your season, we got to see that niche scenario where someone was just so good at being so socially let's call it sneaky, socially sneaky. You played the right cards, but you never came across as someone who is like lining up the dominoes for their success, which I think is just a phenomenal trait to have in this show, where we've talked about it. They're in a pressure cooker. Everyone is panicking all the time. You're moving from a physically exerting challenge or a mentally exerting challenge to a emotionally exhausting conversation with people who you think are friends, but may not be. So the way Craig played was just crazy, and it's something I personally did not see coming. No offense to you.
I'm not surprised. I posted before I went out there. I posted on my Insta story. It was like, how far do you think I'm going to make it? And most people thought I was going to be first one out or just like made it to the merge, and that was it. I was like, fuck you. But accurate.
I was definitely not one of those people. The production always likes to be like, okay, who's going? You know? And many of us were very aligned. It was, if Craig doesn't go out first, he'll probably make it very deep in the game. And then you did. I think nobody, and again, no offense, nobody saw you winning. Yeah. And then you did. Yeah. And you did it in like stunning fashion. It was impressive. One of the people who Craig was playing against is one of these people who was just obviously phenomenal at the game, and that was Sydney. Yeah. Sydney was like on a tear in season 3. It was wild. And this is part of what made season 3 so good, is that there were many people like that. Yeah. Craig had stiff competition. It was a tough one. And I think people watching it didn't know what was going to happen and who was going to get voted out, because it was very, like, everybody was strong players and people knew that. And it was crazy. I really truly believe that season 3 was all stars before all stars, because that season just had incredible players. And all of them did so good. Even the people who were voted out early,
Yeah.
many of them were playing like really good games.
Yeah.
And it was just, look, man, this is how it goes.
Yeah,
And they were gone.
poor Malone. Like,
Oh yeah, poor innocent, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed Malone just didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Oh, tragedy.
Tragedy. Yeah, no, there was some great moments. Of the 3 seasons, not talking about All Stars yet, but of the 3 seasons, what are some of your favorite moments?
Oh man, there are so many good moments. So season 1 was, like I said, a complete shit show. And it does just show how important it is to have a production team for things like this when you're running an event for 20 people and you're trying to film it. Season 1 was a shit show. But I look back on season 1 very fondly because one of the people who comes back and plays in All Stars, Timothy, he ran around in the forest. Like, he would wake up super early, he would go to bed super late, and he just found all of the hidden idols, all of the hidden like advantages and stuff. And at one point, he was like, "Which one should I use?" And he reached into his onesie. He was running around in the forest in a onesie,
As one does.
and pulled out like 8 advantages. He was like, "I don't know which one to use. I'm running out of time." And we were at the start of a challenge. I was like, "What are you doing?" And everyone else was like, "What the shit? How has he done this?" But he just won every challenge, so it mattered. So season 1, that was my highlight, is that moment of this guy really did something crazy.
Yeah.
Season 2, there was a lot of drama. Big drama season because of Girl Gang. Something that I will always remember is at one point, Jackson, who was a player in season 2, kind of brings everyone else outside of Girl Gang together at a point where they still could have done something about it.
Yeah.
And is like, "Hey, we need to do something about this." And then all of them are like, yeah, this is the problem. This is a problem. None of them did.
None of them did it.
None of them did. They had an opportunity to kind of dismantle that massive alliance of women, and Jackson acknowledged it super early. And I remember watching it being filmed, and I was standing there because I was on my way to tribal council, and I was like, okay, he sees it. What's he going to do?
Yeah.
And even though he acknowledged it, like, he caught on quickly, nothing could happen. And I feel like that is so memorable for me because that could have changed the game. Like, that was a moment where if he could have swung people, it could have changed the game.
Yeah.
And it might not have been as crazy as it was. And in season 3, there were so many really great parts in season 3. One, there are moments in season 3 with the water balloon challenge.
Yes.
Which is a wonderful social experiment for our players. I always love seeing how many people can't throw things. It makes me very happy. We changed that in All Stars, spoiler alert, because of how bad people were at throwing.
Yeah.
I love that challenge so much because it always sets a very interesting tone for the people. As you can attest to, like, it changes the game.
It changes the game because you're going, oh, this is what everybody's thinking. Or at least this is what everybody thinks everybody's thinking. But it just, you question everything after that challenge.
You question absolutely everything. And one of the most memorable moments for season 3, we do a shit cast of beer pong tournaments all the time.
Yeah.
Beer pong is a fundamental part of Survivor, and I hope it never leaves, but it might. We have a beer pong bracket for people who have been voted off and are on the edge to win their way back into the game. And in season 3, the beer pong was actually good.
Yeah.
In the first 2 seasons, left to be desired.
Yeah.
But we had some truly phenomenal beer pong playing, and sitting there shit casting with Jackson and Baron was amazing.
Yeah.
And then the final moment was actually Craig winning because it was something I never saw coming.
Yeah.
And I could see it happening live, how well he was playing. And then when everyone sat down to vote, I was like, oh my God, he could do it.
Yeah.
He could do it. Like, listening to the tribal council, I'm like, he could fucking do it.
Yeah.
You know? It was awesome.
It was such a crazy experience to me still. Like, when I made it to the final 3, I won the final immunity challenge, and I guaranteed my spot in the final three. I was like, this is fucking crazy. I might do this.
Yeah. And you could see it in your eyes too. Like when you got to final three, you're like, oh my God, I could win.
Yeah. Which is crazy because I made a final two deal with everybody.
You did. Everyone in their nans. You were leaving our campsite and finding strangers.
Yeah.
Hey, final two.
Final two.
Final two.
That cow was really nice.
Yeah, and there's a crow in All Stars who Craig really wanted to take to the final.
I tried, but they didn't trust me.
No, they were too elusive.
Yeah. No, I handed out a lot of final two deals,
and no one called you on it.
No,
it was like you were amongst three people who were like, we've all made final two deals with Craig, and none of them had the conversation where it was like the Spider-Man meme where all of them were pointing at each other. You made a final two deal with Craig? You made a final two deal with Craig? And Craig was just like drinking a beer on the side, like, I did with everyone. Like a Jim from The Office where it was like, I did that with everyone.
Which I have a Jim from The Office moment. It's one of my favorite moments. When Bomey came back.
Yes.
In season 3, Bomey came back. He was voted out. He came back. And he was confronting people.
He was angry.
And I was in the middle of a conversation. And he comes up to confront people. And I'm just standing there awkwardly watching this. And I have a total look to the camera at one point because I was like, what is happening?
Yeah. Bomey, for the people who haven't seen it, let's call it, has a John Wick moment.
Yeah.
He has a John Wick moment. He wins his way back into the game and unabashedly is like, I'm coming for you. You voted me out. I'm going to end your bloodline. And I was like, wow, this guy's not making it very far.
Yeah.
He made a mistake by doing it this way.
Yeah.
Another moment from season 3 that I think is crazy, and I think this is something you can relate to, is that kind of host's privilege where you have this kind of wider scope of what's happening. One of the individuals on your team who did phenomenally, Kayla.
Yeah.
There is a moment where she has access to an immunity idol, and the tribes have split, and she, the single individual from the starting belligerence tribe, is amongst 4 people from the original Braun tribe.
Yeah.
And she's sitting there, and I'm like, and I ask her the question, so how does it feel knowing that you are alone amongst 4 Braun tribe members at this tribal council? And she looks around and goes, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And then she raises her hand like, can I go get something? And I was like, no. Like, you should. How have you not seen this at this point? Like,
because while I was drinking the whole time, she was smoking a lot of weed.
Yeah, she was zonked out of her mind. And then she has a confessional. She's like, I probably should have brought my immunity idol to tribal council, but I didn't even know what was going on. I was like, oh my God. Just drink the beer next time.
So tribal council is very interesting because if there were several ones that I didn't go to because my tribe won
all the time,
and so I didn't know what was happening until I saw people come back. But you're there at tribal council. What's that experience like? Being one of the few people at tribal council on camera that is not worried about being voted out and knows a lot. What's that like?
It is tough. So season 3 was a particular treat because our production team were really great at feeding me information. Like really, really great, because obviously I can't see everything that's going on. So this informs very good questions. When that happens, it can generate very good moments because it gives me insight into the social dynamics of everything. There are also some times where people just don't want to share things. Yeah. Like even if you're asking pointed questions, some people are just, because of the stress that's going on, they just can't share. So this leads to a divide where good TV is made in 2 ways. You can see that there's pain behind people's eyes and they don't want to share things. And then there's people who are like very openly emotional and it brings people together in that more very forward way. So being at every tribal council and more or less watching the game come to an end one step at a time is a crazy experience. I think what makes it crazier is tribal councils where all the real crazy stuff happens.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm a terrible podcast guest.
God.
My phone is blowing up. I have my 2 friends are trying to get a hold of me. I apologize, audience. Tribal council, for the people who haven't seen the show, is where the real crazy shit happens. It's when people are playing idols, when people are having those last minute conversations, and you see that a lot in All Stars.
Yeah.
Which is something I'm so excited for everyone to see. The tribal councils in All Stars are phenomenal because, like we've talked about for season 3, the cast in All Stars is amazing. So being at the center, at the focal point of the drama, and oftentimes being able to poke a little needle into someone and watch that spiral off into drama makes it even better. You know, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's so interesting, and you do find out things that you're like, oh, I didn't realize people were thinking that, or like makes you again question things and go, wait, who's gonna be voted out? Am I wrong in thinking that? And like, there is in season 3, I believe it's when Shervin was voted out, and you see my face in the camera. Like the camera got my reaction, totally shocked, and what happened there?
Yeah.
And the tribal council is fucking crazy.
It is crazy, and we love a little mechanic called shot in the dark. We let someone take a shot of Disaronno and then get a 1 in 6 chance of winning immunity.
Yeah.
And one person is just phenomenal at it in every season, and it always shifts the game.
Yeah.
And like Craig is talking about the candid caption of his face when crazy things happen at Tribal. The reactions of people when Tribal Council has something crazy happen, everyone is like that. They have no idea.
Yeah.
It is wild. It is a wild ride. And for the people listening to this, we love having new people on the show. If you want to put yourself through emotional and physical pain,
We're really selling it.
but like an incredibly memorable weekend of emotional and physical pain, it is so worth it. It is, if you ever wanted to play Survivor, but you've never had the gumption to go and do it on live TV, come do it for YouTube instead.
Yeah, it's YouTube. It's better. And it's also like, again, it's less time commitment too. Like to go out for 39 days or whatever they actually do, like who's got time for that?
No one. And look, we give prizes out. Craig's connections at Born Brewing got us a sponsor.
Yeah,
for
we got
season 4.
Born Beers.
It is such a treat. So yeah, if you want to watch the show, do it. If you want to drink beer, drink Born beer.
Yeah,
baby.
drink Born Beers.
Yeah.
Okay, so Survivor Calgary All Stars.
Yes, sir.
Now streaming on YouTube. Episode 1 out. I think that's the only one that will be out.
Yeah, it comes out on the 5th.
Yeah,
so it should be out by now.
Should be out by now. It airs weekly on YouTube. We've got 16 All Stars from the previous 3 seasons, so all 3 winners are back. Mm-hmm. And then we've got a bunch of other people.
Yeah, yeah. So this is something I was keen to talk to you about. Your mentality in season 3 was, I'm not going out first, bitch. Like, I'm going to drink a beer. I'm going to have a good time. You, good sir, were a winner, a champ coming into All Stars. You knew people were going to be onto you.
Oh, I knew it.
Yeah.
And when we filmed it, we had literally just had the finale air like 3 weeks prior or something like that. It was pretty close. So people just like, it was fresh in people's mind. And one of 3 people who have won and the most recent winner, I knew I wanted to do it again, but I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, this is bad. I'm not going to win. I'm not going to make it past the first vote.
And yet, the episode 1 is out. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But it is phenomenal. And it's crazy to me. And you saw this dynamic in season 3 a bit. There are clear people. You know, we had team captains in season 3 on the Brain, Brawn, and Belligerents. And it's like, they've got big targets on their back. They're going to be first to go. It often doesn't work that way. And which is crazy because you think, oh, they're going to keep them around for challenges or because they form an alliance. And even in this first episode, you see Craig digging his little hooks into people, you know? It's awesome.
I knew my strategy going in was make people remember that I am a winner and I have a target on my back, and so like, hey, you know,
Yeah.
keep me around, like, and I'm gonna help you out. Let's get rid of these other people. Like, these are the people that are threats that could win because they almost won previously.
Yeah, essentially, you were offering yourself up as a piece of body armor to
Yeah.
use later in the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, look, you could use me now, but that'd be a waste. No one's dangerous right now. Keep me around.
Yeah.
I'll protect you later by just being so good at the game.
Yeah.
And it's an awesome strategy.
And I definitely like had to rethink. I mean, I couldn't just give out final 2 deals all the time because people were suspecting that. But I had the people that I felt like we've got these connections and we can make it work. And I knew that it was going to be very interesting. You know, we have, I talked about this in the pre-show interview that Eric was coming back, and Eric was the surprise turn with Shervin getting voted out in season 3. So, you know, I knew that people would be like, oh, they're gonna have some trust issues. But I was okay to be like, yeah, people are going to not suspect us.
Yeah. And it's so much fun. Again, going back to the idea that it happens over such a short duration, it's so much fun to see how actual friendships build and are subsequently destroyed in a span of 3 days. The amount of trust these players build on day 1 is just awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
And then on day 2, it's like they've stabbed a family member in the back and people are weeping over the decisions they've made. And it's like, oh, it's heartbreaking.
There was, I feel like there was a lot more, as people will see as this season comes out, I feel like there's a lot more tears this season.
It meant a lot. It meant a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, as you know at this point, Cole, the original, he's the one who spawned this idea. Without his idea to do this in the Force of Friends, it wouldn't have happened. And he gets to play again in All Stars. And obviously he's got a lot on the line.
Yeah.
So how could you not be emotional when you have people who have put hundreds of hours of their time into making this? Like, this is their passion project, and they finally get to play it again. How could you not be emotional? And it's the same for so many of the other All-Stars, right? It's like they've waited all year for this.
Yeah.
It is the highlight reel for them, right? It is...
And I'm over here drinking my beer.
Yeah, Craig's over here drinking his beer. He's like, look, it's almost Sunday. I have a sunburn.
Yeah.
I get cold at night. This is, I want to win, but at what cost? You know?
Felt like there was aliens outside my tent at one point.
Yeah.
There was some weird stuff.
So we film out in Wipers, okay? And this is something that I kind of love. I'm a big believer in ghosts. Okay,
I am too.
I'm a big believer in ghosts, and my logic behind that is no one can prove to me that they aren't real. So therefore, they could be real, and so I treat the idea of ghosts with great respect because I don't want to get haunted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I think ghosts are real, aliens are absolutely real.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Normally, the sounds outside our tents in the middle of Wipers are animal noises.
Yeah.
And you're like easily identifiable. It's like, squirrel, chipmunk, crow. But I don't know what it was on All Stars. There were weird noises going on.
Very weird. And
concerning.
I was, because you and I both have our own tents. Like we don't, some people share.
Yeah.
And we were close by each other.
You and I, 2 seasons in a row, kind of camped in the same spot. And we camped like kind of on the edge of the tree line going into the forest and the edge of the camp. But in season 4, we were very isolated because most people camped in the other campground, which was wild. Yeah,
there was only like 4 tents over this time, whereas like last year there was a lot more.
Yeah, and there were weird fucking noises at night.
Yeah.
It was spooky.
I was completely terrified. At one night there was, and I could sense something outside my tent.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like an animal. And I was freaking out. I was like, I don't know what's happening here. And I was like, I don't know if I can be loud enough, if people are going to save me in time.
Yeah. And I went through the same thing because we did have loud animals.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
But there was like, I think it was the second night. I think it was Friday night because we get out Thursday night and then we hang out and then we start filming. I think it was Friday night or Saturday night, but it was only one of the nights that we were out there. But there was just weird fucking noises.
Yeah.
And I couldn't identify them. And I was up worried, and I have a big old knife, right? And I was like, okay. So I check the side of my tent. I'm like, okay, knife here. Why is something hovering outside my tent?
Yeah.
Like, no animal does this. Most will like be very abrupt and forceful, and they'll sniff around. They'll bash on the edges a little bit,
Yeah.
and then they'll go on their way. This thing it felt like something was just standing there.
Yeah.
Like a sleep paralysis demon, but outside my tent.
Yep.
Like, but a real sleep paralysis.
Yes.
Demon. It was so weird.
It was, and I'm so glad you brought this up, because that's exactly what I was feeling, and I didn't know, like, I was afraid to turn my flashlight on, just like see something, and so, but I was like, kind of trying to make noise, so I was like doing a little like coughing, just so, because I don't know, I feel like people don't cough in their sleep, like they kind of have to be awake, so I was like making noise to let them realize that like I was awake, because I was like, I didn't want them to like open up the tent. Like at one point I was like, oh my god, is it right by like the zipper and it's gonna come in? And I was like, I don't want to see this, so I was like
you were kind of frozen, because it's like, if you take any action, it could make it real.
Yeah.
You know, as it stands, you're just laying in your tent and you're like, okay, I could be imagining it. I could be imagining it. If I open this tent and see something, all of a sudden, it's real.
yeah.
And coming to grips with that was just not an option for me. I was armed.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going out there. Like, this is not fucking happening. It was so weird.
I can't believe we didn't talk about this.
Dude, I didn't want to talk about it. I was haunted.
I was haunted too. I didn't feel that way my season 3, but All Stars, I felt that way.
Yeah. And it was... no one else talked about it, maybe because it was the same kind of experience. Like, I don't want to talk about it. That was horrifying. I don't want to manifest that.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. It was like a solid several hours of sleeplessness one night, and it really truly felt like there was just a looming presence, unnatural, over my tent.
Okay, when other Survivor people listen to this, and I'm going to put it in the group chat as well, if it turns out a bunch of us felt this way.
Yo, look, the crows were crazy.
Yeah.
Never happened before. And I don't know what goes on in those forests, but maybe the crows were freaking out for a reason.
Yeah.
You know? Like, why were they so boisterous? Why were they there that season, you know? But the crows were insane. And then there was that one night where it just supports my ideas that there are things out there that we don't understand. And sure, maybe my mind was playing tricks on me.
Yeah.
But I've solo camped my whole life.
Yeah.
I've gone solo camping up on high mountain ranges. I've never experienced this. It was truly concerning. I've had to scare off bears from a campsite. This was not that.
No.
It was so unidentifiable that it froze me.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't believe we're both finding this out. Because, and there was movement, but it was light, but it was not super light. Like, it was, because we had a fox steal some food?
Oh, yeah, there was a fox for sure.
Yeah. But, like, this was at least the height of my tent, if not taller. I could, I could just sense it. Like,
yeah. And the thing is like, on the night of the fox, R.I.P. all the food for Cole and Keegan, you could hear a fox. Like, foxes... They're small, but they're not quiet.
No.
Especially when they're rummaging.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can hear rummaging. It's like, oh god, rummaging. You know, but this thing, it was like, it wasn't completely stationary. It felt like it had intentional soft movement, and that drove me crazy.
yeah.
Like, only people intentionally move softly around other sentient things. Animals don't do that.
Yeah.
Animals in the wild, when they come up to a tent, are loud. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not like, oh, I'm going to be really quiet. That poor man's sleeping.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, no. So what was it?
I don't know.
It scared the shit out of me.
It freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah.
I got very little sleep.
Yeah.
Because I was just, I was like, I don't know what's happening. And if it turns out that somebody was sleepwalking and nobody's told us, but like, I don't think that, because we would have heard a zipper like at someone's tent at some point.
And what makes it worse is that there were so few of us on that side of the campground this year, because it's not like one of the 4 people by us, and there was probably 4 of us total on that side this year, that they weren't walking to take a piss. They weren't dropping trow.
Yeah.
What like, I think about it often. often.
Yeah.
Because I get made fun of this, but I have a whole saying that's associated with me, and it's Tom, don't fuck with ghosts. I don't. Like, if I will watch any scary movie as long as there are no ghosts.
No ghosts.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I love alien movies too, and I don't care if they're scary because they're scary in a different way, but this was the first time where I felt like I was actually scared of aliens.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a ghost.
No, it wasn't ghosts.
No. But like it felt very similar to when you go into a space and you're like, oh, this bitch is haunted.
Yeah.
Very similar
Yeah.
vibe. But it was isolated for one night in the forest.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I feel like, again, I believe in aliens. We're gonna get back to Survivor.
Yeah.
But
At the moment we're talking about aliens, buckle up.
I've always thought that, like, because I'm sure they're getting like broadcasts from Earth, like, obviously.
Yeah.
And I feel like aliens are smart, and the reason why they haven't really made themselves known and come down here is because they've seen how many movies we make with aliens, and people freak out and cause panic and kill, and it's just deadly. And I feel like these aliens, like, these fucking humans are nowhere near us to come down at this point. Like, we need to step. We're not coming down yet. They're not ready for us.
No. They look down and they're like, yeah, I just watched a dude get stabbed for buying a Slurpee. I'm not going down there.
I'm not going down there.
Yeah, not safe.
Yeah.
I'll eat my goo. I'll do my thing. It is crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy to think that we both had this similar experience.
This is so crazy to me.
Yeah. And I think what gives credence to it is that we were camped very close together. So what if it was just the same thing at the same time? And that's what's making me trip right now.
Yeah.
Because it was a wild.
Because I think it was just like you, me, Tim, and somebody else over there. Like,
I think it was just you, me, and Tim. And Tim was camped near the cliff edge on the far side. And Tim often slept outside, like under the stars. And he's a loud dude. Timothy, for those of you who haven't seen it, he's like 6'8", 190 pounds, 200 pounds. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
When Timothy's walking through the brush.
oh yeah.
He's also not the guy to kind of just lurk.
No.
Not a lurker.
Yeah.
He's a very happy-go-lucky man. So this thing it is something I haven't forgotten, and it's something I've never experienced since. And I've been camping since, and I've had nothing like it. But yeah, the campground felt weird.
It did feel weird.
It felt weird.
Well, I think it was just a crazy season.
It was. I think it was a crazy season, but I feel like my perspective, I wasn't playing. I didn't have all this stress. I didn't have the nerves bundled up in me, like you did.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's why you didn't talk about it. It was like, oh, I was just stressed.
Yeah.
There's
I was like,
a
oh, there's
lot going on.
so much going on here.
Clearly, there was nothing standing here. Everything is fine. For me, I was like, bitch, I've got nothing to stress about. I have to remember lines, and that's it. And I was frozen. It was a crazy season for gameplay, and it turns out that there was a joint alien experience.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
I wish we got that on video, because that would get the ratings to the roof.
No. See, this doubles back to Tom, don't fuck with ghosts. I don't want black and white film of whatever was standing outside our day. I don't need that in my life.
I don't.
No.
Oh my god, if it turns out that there was somebody had hooked up a camera and like waiting to show.
Oh no.
No. It was stressful enough being there for All Stars. If you could describe this season in like one word or two words, what would you describe it as?
All Stars?
Yeah.
In one word, gripping.
Gripping. Ooh.
One word, gripping. In two words, it would be emotionally gripping. It would be doubling down on that, because I do think all of the challenges are quite intense.
Yeah.
And the amount of heart everyone gives in this season is so substantial. It's hard not to be kind of pulled in to the drama of it all.
Yeah.
It's so gripping. It's phenomenal. It is like we talked about earlier, it's like season 3, but if the emotions just kind of got cranked up a bit. It is phenomenal.
Yeah, it was a great time. I'm excited that it's now being aired so people can watch it and see what happens, because it's just also interesting dynamic. Like, there is a lot of the All-Stars were from season 3.
Yep. Many of them, yeah.
Many of them, but it just created all new dynamics and different people teaming up that you wouldn't suspect from the season 3. It was very interesting.
It was super interesting, and it it was crazy how unique everyone was in All Stars based on the fact that most of them were from season 3.
Yeah.
Like people are like, oh yeah, we were great, we could work together, but it was mostly like I'm destroying the assumption already, and I'm gonna go and do my own thing.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yeah, and there's a few people, won't say who because we don't want to spoil anything, but just like completely different gameplay.
Yeah, nothing you would expect.
Yeah.
Nothing you would expect, and it did change the game, like in a crazy way, and it just goes to show that in Survivor, how you play can so dynamically affect everything else.
Yeah.
Like if you, in a previous season, for instance, were a very social player and then you show up and all of a sudden you're like a challenge beast, it completely changes the perception you have on the game and the perception everyone you're working with has of you.
Yeah.
Which can either be very beneficial or not. But it's in season 4 in All Stars, we get to see that where people change the way they play even throughout the game just to suit their needs. And we also get to see the best forms of consistent gameplay, and it's magical.
Yeah. Do I win this season?
That would be a spoiler.
God damn it.
Damn. No, you will have to watch all the episodes to see who wins.
Every
naturally.
Monday?
Every Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, releases are going to be on Mondays. The first episode has already come out. It came out on the 5th.
Yep.
I really am excited for everyone to see this. For the little trailer that we spoiled, we already have like a very good amount of views. And look, we're not trying to brag. We're a local production.
Yeah.
We got like a couple hundred views. That's sick.
Yeah.
That's all we want. We're like this is a weekend that we book off and then work all weekend long. And then for people like the true heroes of the show, and I can't praise them enough, Cole and Keegan, who do the bulk of the editing for the show.
Yeah.
It's a year-round job for them. Like, this is a job. We're not getting paid for this. We do our best to make money for the winner of the game.
Yes.
But it is just a Herculean effort on their part to make the show what it is. And I also can't talk about how beautiful the show has become without acknowledging how important everyone on production is.
Yeah.
Because they make it happen. Like, I am the host of the show. It's great. I love hosting. I help out with making everything. But it is, to say that it is, my show, or for any individual to take sole credit for what it is, would just be folly. Everyone puts their heart and their soul into making it what it is. And it's such a pleasure to be part of the team of the production who make every season. But it's also such a pleasure to interact with all the players, because players like yourself are the reason why people watch the show. You guys are what make it so special.
Yeah.
And it is so phenomenal seeing that mesh together so beautifully in season 3 and in season 4, which I stand by are the best seasons.
I'm super excited to watch this season. And I know, like, I got family and friends who got really into my season, and like, it's funny, my sister, she told me, like, at first she was just like watching it, she's like, look, I was just kind of like scrolling through till I saw you on camera, and then when you weren't on, I was like, totally fair. And then I don't know how many episodes into it, but she was like, oh, I'm watching the whole thing now, like, I'm now invested in all these people. And I remember her, like, I think it was, she texted me about Malone. She's like, Malone got voted out. No. I was like, yeah, but I didn't get voted out.
Yeah, like, who are you cheering for here? Come on.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like, characters like Malone are so divisive. It's like you have one half of the world where it's like, no, he's got it. The other half is like, bitch had it coming.
Yes.
It's like, that guy was skeezy.
Yeah.
He was a slimy dude. And it's so magical to see people's reactions. And we have these awesome comments and stuff, but it's even just hearing it from our players is so much fun.
It's super fun. You can comment, and if you watch the episodes live, you can comment and talk with others watching it. And then the post show is back.
Yeah, we're bringing back the podcast, which kind of breaks down every episode as it comes out. This year, Keegan is going to be hosting it. And I believe he's hosting it alongside Krish. Krish?
Yes, I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, Krish is
Yeah.
Krish. So you haven't seen it, and there's I'm forgetting her name. She's so phenomenal. Oh, there's a third member. I'm losing it.
Oh no.
No, props are due. I'm so sorry. I'm having a complete brain fart right now. But she's integral to the podcast. She makes it so phenomenal. Oh, I'm so sorry. No.
This is fun for me.
Craig is watching me have an existential crisis.
This is fantastic.
No. I can't.
You got this. You got this.
I can't remember. Hold on.
You're gonna.
Hold on. I need to solve this. I will not.
He will figure this out.
I will not leave this person unannounced. I will not do that to them. Kendall David. Kendall, I am so sorry for blanking on your name. I am so sorry, but you are truly the backbone of the podcast, and I'm so excited for everybody to see it this season. You, Keegan, and Krish on this first episode. It's going to be amazing. I hope people see it.
And it's fun to watch those and listen to them because, like for my season, Kendall wasn't out there, so she didn't know what was going to happen. And so it's very it's just very interesting because these people don't know what's going to happen. Some of the people don't because they're not there for it. And just hearing them because when I watched and listened to those podcasts from my season, I wasn't really mentioned a lot.
No.
In the episodes because I was just there and they weren't suspecting me.
No one was. No one was, and that's what made it so special. Yeah. It's like even production were like, I mean, yeah, he's playing. But it's like until the end of it, it's like, wow, he played a phenomenal game.
And this season's gonna be great. Like you said, 16 All-Stars. They've all played before.
Yeah.
And I would say the people who make it to the finals, you won't be able to guess it.
No, absolutely not. It is a wild ride of a season, and even I would like to say that our challenges and the environment we created kind of threw twists and turns at them. No, the players created such a dynamic environment this time around, and were so phenomenal at throwing wrenches into everyone else's plans that. Man, when you buckle up, you got to buckle up for tribal councils because tribal councils and all-stars are insane.
Yeah.
You've seen episode 1. You probably picked up on that vibe right from the hop. They only get better.
Yeah.
They only get better. It is wild.
It is so wild, and I'm so excited for people to watch it. So it's Survivor Calgary on YouTube, and then, of course, on Instagram and Facebook, you can find it that way.
Yeah.
As we start to wrap up, tell me something that's awesome.
Tell me something that's awesome. Did you know that the horn on a narwhal is actually just a very long tooth that sprouts through their head and can grow up to 10 feet long?
Oh. Did you know I didn't know narwhals were real until I was about 25?
Craig, no.
I thought they were fake.
Hey,
I've never seen them in real life. And then I was noticing a lot of merch for narwhals, and I was like, "This is a big thing right now." And I thought it was just a unicorn.
Yeah, and unicorns aren't real. Yeah, narwhals are just unicorns that gave up. They never got out of the water.
And then I Googled it, and I was like, "No, there's actual photos of these things. Oh, they're real." Oh,
yeah. I think that's very cool. Also, I'm gonna do one last little plug. Please check out Survivor Calgary. It is phenomenal. We love our show. I think you would love it too, especially if you're a fan of Survivor. If you're not a fan of Survivor, it is such a, I would say, a very wholesome way to get into Survivor.
I haven't watched Survivor since Africa, season 3.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Then I watched All Stars, but that was the first All Stars. So many moons ago.
Many moons.
So I didn't know what was happening, and I think that kind of helped me. I was like,
yeah.
I'm just drinking, right? And it's a great little thing to get into. People love reality shows. It's fun. It's not scripted.
No, it's all live, and I think that makes it very, very, very special. And it's filmed in our backyard, effectively.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And fun reality shows, not scripted.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Yeah, and, I'm going to do a self-plug here. I also record another podcast.
Yes.
If you like tabletop role-playing games, D&D, and the like, I am fortunate enough to be on a podcast called The Stars Aren't All Right, and it is also fully improvised actual play TTRPG podcast based on the Call of Cthulhu game in the far-flung future.
Yeah.
It is a ton of fun. If you're into that sort of thing, you will love it. If you want a way to kind of get into that genre of thing, you hear people talking about Dimension 20 and stuff like that, but you don't know what it is.
I don't.
We're a good stepping stone. So yeah, self-plug for a phenomenal podcast. It's a lot of fun. So now all you wonderful listeners have 2 things to check out on top of all of Trivia Daddy's phenomenal activities every week here in Calgary. If you haven't been to one of the trivia nights, you have to go. It is an absolute blast. There's also bingo.
Bingo, name that tune.
Name that tune. He's all over the place.
Yeah.
He's on Instagram. What are you doing? Go follow him. Podcast listeners, get a grip.
Yeah. I know, podcast listeners, do this. I know, I was like, I don't get to talk to people enough, so I'm going to bring my podcast back.
Yeah, podcasts are fun.
They are fun. Well, Tom, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Craig.
This was super fun to catch up, and also now find out that we both experienced the same friggin' thing.
I never would have known.
I know.
I never would have known. I would have just carried that with me to the grave.
Yeah.
I haven't told Moira about it because she would be so afraid.
She would be so afraid.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, yes, check out Survivor Calgary, airing now on YouTube. Previous seasons on there as well. So you can, if you missed my season or the previous ones, check them out.
Go binge. You're going to do it on Netflix anyway.
Exactly.
Do it on YouTube instead.
Support local.
Yeah, come on. For God's sakes.
Grab yourself a Born beer and watch some Survivor Calgary.
Love that. Best way to enjoy it.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you, Craig.
Appreciate it. And thank everyone for passing time with me. We'll chat soon.